We started last week talking about Ecclesiastes, and what I want to do is read through it because sometimes we don't hear it all kind of in a flow. We pick parts of it and we read a bit here and a bit there, and you kind of miss the overall. So I'm going to have us listen to the whole of it. I want you to listen for some of the phrases we talked about as they come up. He's always talking about under the sun. He's talking about vanity of vanities. But you'll notice some of the times where he'll stop and say, but this is what you need to do with your life. Like gives positive recommendations. And then notice there's some times where he talks about fearing God in certain contexts. Like have a reverence for God. So let's just hear the whole thing, and I think I can get through it quick enough, and then maybe, again, I'll just ask at the end, okay, what did you hear as we read through it? So starting in Ecclesiastes 1:1, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What advantage does man have in all his work, which he does under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. Also the sun rises and the sun sets, and hastening to its place it rises there again. Blowing to the south, then turning toward the north, the wind comes swirling along, and on its circular courses the wind returns. All the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place where the rivers flow, they flow again. All things are wearisome. Man is not able to tell it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That which has been is that which will be, and that which has been done is that which will be done. So there's nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one might say, see this, it is new? Already it has existed for ages, which were before us. There is no remembrance of earlier things, and also of the later things which will occur. There will be for them no remembrance among those who will come later still. I, the preacher, have been king over Israel and Jerusalem. I have set my mind to seek and explore by wisdom concerning all that has been done under heaven. It is a grievous task which God has given to the sons of men to be afflicted with. I have seen all the works which they have done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and striving after wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened, and what is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, behold, I have magnified and increased wisdom more than all who were over Jerusalem before me, and my mind has observed a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. And I set my mind to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I realize that this also is striving after wind, because in much wisdom there is much grief, and increasing knowledge results in increasing pain. I said to myself, come now. This is chapter 2. I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure. So enjoy yourself, and behold, it too was futility. I said of laughter, it is madness, and of pleasure, what does it accomplish? I explored with my mind how to stimulate my body with wine while my mind was guiding me wisely, and how to take hold of folly until I could see what good there is for the sons of men to do under heaven the few years of their lives. I enlarged my works. I built houses for myself. I planted vineyards for myself. I made gardens and parks for myself. I planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made ponds of water for myself, from which to irrigate a forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves. I had homeborn slaves. Also I possessed flocks and herds greater than all who preceded me in Jerusalem. Also I collected for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I provided for myself male and female singers and the pleasures of men, many concubines. Then I became great and increased more than all who preceded me in Jerusalem. My wisdom also stood by me. All that my eyes desired, I did not refuse them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart was pleased because of all my labor, and this too was my reward for all my labor. Thus I considered all my activities which my hands had done, and the labor which I had exerted, and behold, all was vanity and striving after wind, and there was no profit under the sun. So I turned to consider wisdom, madness, and folly. For what will the man do who will come after the king except what already has been done? And I saw that wisdom excels folly, as light excels darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness, and yet I know that one fate befalls them both. Then I said to myself, as is the fate of the fool, so will also befall me. Then Why then have I been extremely wise? I said to myself, this too is vanity. For there is no lasting remembrance of the wise man as with the fool, inasmuch as in the coming days all will be forgotten, and how the wise man and the fool alike die. So I hated life, for the work which had been done under the sun was grievous to me, because everything is futility and striving after wind. Thus I hated all the fruit of my labor for which I had labored under the sun, for I must leave it to the man who will come after me. And who knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool? Yet he will have control over all the fruit of my labor for which I have labored by acting wisely under the sun. This too is vanity. Therefore I completely despaired of all the fruit of my labor for which I had labored under the sun. When there is a man who has labored with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then he gives his legacy to one who has not labored with them, this too is vanity and a great evil. For what does a man get in all his labor and in his striving with which he labors under the sun? Because all his days his task is painful and grievous, even at night his mind does not rest, this too is vanity. There is nothing better for a man than to eat and drink and tell himself that his labor is good. This also I have seen, that it is from the hand of God. For who can eat and who can have enjoyment without him? For to a person who is good in his sight he has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. Whether to the sinner he has given the task of gathering and collecting, so that he may give it to one who is good in God's sight, this too is vanity and striving after wind. Chapter 3. There is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every event under heaven, a time to give birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to shun embracing, a time to search and a time to give up as lost, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear apart and a time to sew together, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What profit is there to the worker from that in which he toils? I have seen the task which God has given the sons of men with which to occupy themselves. He has made everything appropriate in its time. He has also set eternity in their heart, yet so that man will not find out the work which God has done from the beginning even to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and to do good in one's lifetime. Moreover, that every man who eats and drinks sees good in all his labor. It is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will remain forever. There is nothing to add to it, and there is nothing to take from it. For God has so worked that men should fear him. That which is has been already, and that which will be has already been, for God seeks what has passed by. Furthermore, I have seen under the sun that in the place of justice there is wickedness, and in the place of righteousness there is wickedness. I said to myself, God will judge both the righteous man and the wicked man, for a time for every matter and for every deed is there. I said to myself concerning the sons of men, God has surely tested them in order for them to see that they are but beasts. For the fate of the sons of men and the fate of beasts is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. Indeed, they all have the same breath, and there is no advantage for man over beast, for all is vanity. All go to the same place. All come from the dust, and all return to the dust. Who knows that the breath of man ascends upward, and the breath of the beast ascends downward to the earth? I have seen that nothing is better than that man should be happy in his activities, for that is his lot. For who will bring him to see what will occur after him? Then I looked again at all the acts of oppression which are being done under the sun, and behold, I saw the tears of the oppressed, that they have no one to comfort them. And on the side of their oppressors was power, but they had no one to comfort them. So I congratulated the dead who are already dead, more than the living who are still living. But better off than both of them is the one who has never existed, who has never seen the evil activity that is done under the sun. I have seen that every labor and every skill which is done is the result of rivalry between a man and his neighbor. This too is vanity and striving after the wind. Then I looked again at vanity under the sun. There was a certain man without a dependent, having neither a son nor a brother, yet there was no end to all his labor. Indeed, his eyes were not satisfied with riches, and he never asked, "And for whom am I laboring and depriving myself of pleasure?" This too is vanity, and it is a grievous task. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls when there is not another to lift him up. Furthermore, if two lie down together, they keep warm, but how can one be warm alone? And if one can overpower him who is alone, two can resist him. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly torn apart. A poor yet wise lad is better than an old and foolish king who no longer knows how to receive instruction. For he has come out of prison to become king, even though he was born poor in his kingdom. I have seen all the living under the sun throng to the side of the second lad who replaces him. There is no end to all the people, to all who were before them, and even the ones who will come later will not be happy with him, for this too is vanity and striving after wind. Guard your steps as you go to the house of God, and draw near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know they are doing evil. Do not be hasty in word or impulsive in thought to bring up a matter in the presence of God, for God is in heaven and you are on earth. Therefore let your words be few. For the dream comes through much effort, and the voice of a fool through many words. When you make a vow to God, do not be late in paying it, for he takes no delight in fools. Pay what you vow. It is better that you should not vow than that you should vow and not pay. Do not let your speech cause you to sin, and do not say in the presence of the messenger of God that it was a mistake. Why should God be angry on account of your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For in many dreams and in many words there is emptiness. Rather, fear God. If you see the oppression of the poor and denial of justice and righteousness in the province, do not be shocked at the sight, for one official watches over another official, and there are higher officials over them. After all, the king who cultivates the field is an advantage to the land. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves abundance with its income. This too is vanity. When good things increase, those who consume them increase. So what is the advantage to their owners except to look on? The sleep of the working man is pleasant, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich man does not allow him to sleep. There is grievous evil which I have seen under the sun, riches being hoarded by their owner to his hurt. When those riches were lost through a bad investment and he had fathered a son, then there was nothing to support him. As he had come naked from his mother's womb, so he will return as he came. He will take nothing from the fruit of his labor that he can carry in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Exactly as a man is born, thus he will die. So what is the advantage to him who toils for the wind? Throughout his life he also eats in darkness with great vexation, sickness, and anger. Here is what I have seen to be good and fitting: to eat, to drink, and enjoy oneself in all one's labor in which he toils under the sun during the few years of his life which God has given him, for this is his reward. Furthermore, as for every man to whom God has given riches and wealth, he has also empowered him to eat from them and to receive his reward and rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God. For he will not often consider the years of his life, because God keeps him occupied with the gladness of his heart. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is prevalent among men. A man to whom God has given riches and wealth and honor, so that his soul lacks nothing of all that he desires, yet God has not empowered him to eat from them, for a foreigner enjoys them. This is vanity and a severe affliction. If a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, however many they be, but his soul is not satisfied with good things, and he does not even have a proper burial, then I say, better the miscarriage than he. For it comes in futility and goes into obscurity, and its name is covered in obscurity. It never sees the sun, it never knows anything. It is better off than he. Even if the other man lives 1,000 years twice and does not enjoy good things, do not all go to one place? All a man's labor is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not satisfied. For what advantage does the wise man have over the fool? What advantage does the poor man have, knowing how to walk before the living? What the eyes see is better than what the soul desires. This too is futility and a striving after wind. Whatever exists has already been named, and it is known what man is, for he cannot dispute with him who is stronger than he. For there are many words which increase futility. What then is the advantage to a man? For who knows what is good for a man during his lifetime, during the few years of his futile life? He will spend them like a shadow. For who can tell a man what will be after him under the sun? A good name is better than a good ointment, and the day of one's death is better than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to a house of mourning than to go to a house of feasting, because that is the end of every man, and the living takes it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, and when a face is sad, a heart may be happy. The mind of the wise is in the house of mourning, while the mind of fools is in the house of pleasure. It is better to listen to the rebuke of a wise man than for one to listen to the song of fools. For as the cackling of thorn bushes under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool, and this too is futility. For oppression makes a wise man mad, and a bribe corrupts the heart. The end of a matter is better than its beginning. The patience of spirit is better than haughtiness of spirit. Do not be eager in your heart to be angry, for anger resides in the bosom of fools. Do not say, "Why is it that the former days were better than these?" For it is not from wisdom that you ask about this. Wisdom along with an inheritance is good, and an advantage to those who see the sun. For wisdom is protection, just as money is protection. But the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of its possessors. Consider the work of God, who is able to straighten what he has bent. In the day of prosperity, be happy. But in the day of adversity, consider, God has made the one as well as the other, so that man will not discover anything that will be after him. I have seen everything during my lifetime of futility. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs his life in his wickedness. Do not be excessively righteous, do not be overly wise. Why should you ruin yourself? Do not be excessively wicked, and do not be a fool. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you grasp one thing and also not let go of the other. For the one who fears God comes forth with both of them. Wisdom strengthens a wise man more than 10 rulers who are in a city. Indeed, there is not a righteous man on earth who continually does good and never sins. Also, do not take seriously all words which are spoken, so that you will not hear your servant cursing you. For you also have realized that you likewise have many times cursed others. I tested all this with wisdom, and I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me. What has been is remote and exceedingly mysterious. Who can discover it? I directed my mind to know, to investigate, and to seek wisdom and an explanation, and to know the evil of folly and the foolishness of madness. And I discovered more bitter than death is the woman whose heart is snares and nets, whose hands are chained. One who is pleasing to God will escape from her, but the sinner will be captured by her. Behold, I have discovered this, says the preacher, adding one thing to another to find an explanation, which I am still seeking but have not found. I have found one man among 1,000, but I have not found a woman among all these. Behold, I have found only this, that God made men upright, but they have sought out many devices. Who is like the wise man and who knows the interpretation of a matter? A man's wisdom illumines him and causes his stern face to beam. I say, keep the command of the king because of the oath before God. Do not be in a hurry to leave him. Do not join in an evil matter, for he will do whatever he pleases. Since the word of the king is authoritative, who will say to him, what are you doing? He who keeps a royal command experiences no trouble, for a wise heart knows the proper time and procedure. For there is a proper time and procedure for every delight, though a man's trouble is heavy upon him. If no one knows what will happen, who can tell him when it will happen? No man has authority to restrain the wind with the wind, or authority over the day of his death, and there is no discharge in the time of war, and evil will not deliver those who practice it. All this I have seen and applied my mind to every deed that has been done under the sun, wherein a man has exercised authority over another man to his hurt. So then, I have seen the wicked buried, those who used to go in and out from the holy place, and they were soon forgotten in the city where they did thus. This too is futility. Because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed quickly, therefore the hearts of the sons of men among them are given fully to do evil. Although a sinner does evil 100 times and may lengthen his life, still I know that it will be well for those who fear God, who fear him openly. But it will not be well for the evil man, and he will not lengthen his days like a shadow, because he does not fear God. There is futility which is done on the earth. That is, there are righteous men to whom it happens according to the deeds of the wicked. On the other hand, there are evil men to whom it happens according to the deeds of the righteous. I say this too is futility. So I commended pleasure, for there was nothing good for a man under the sun except to eat and to drink and to be merry, and this will stand by him in his toils throughout the days of his life, which God has given him under the sun. Then I made my heart to know wisdom and to see the task which has been done on the earth, even though one should never sleep day or night. And I saw every work of God. I concluded that man cannot discover the work which has been done under the sun. Even though man should seek laboriously, he will not discover. And though the wise man should say, I know, he cannot discover. For I have taken all this to heart and explained it, that righteous men, wise men, and their deeds are in the hand of God. Man does not know whether it will be love or hatred. Anything awaits him. It is the same for all. There is one fate for the righteous and one for the wicked, for the good, for the clean, and for the unclean, for the man who offers a sacrifice and the one who does not sacrifice. As the good man is, so is the sinner. As the swearer is, so is the one who is afraid to swear. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, and there is one fate for all men. Furthermore, the hearts of the sons of men are full of evil, and insanity is in their hearts throughout their lives. Afterwards they go to the dead. For whoever is joined with all the living, there is hope. Surely a live dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know they will die, but the dead do not know anything, nor have they any longer a reward, for their memory is forgotten. Indeed, their love, their hate, their zeal have already perished, and they will no longer have a share in all that is done under the sun. Go then, eat your bread in happiness, drink your wine with a cheerful heart, for God has already approved your works. Let your clothes be white all the time, and let not oil be lacking on your head. Enjoy life with the woman whom you love all the days of your fleeting life, which he has given you under the sun, for this is your reward in life and in your toil in which you have labored under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do with all your might, for there is no activity or planning or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, where you are going. I again saw that under the sun that the race is not to the swift, and the battle is not to the warriors, and neither is bread to the wise, nor wealth to the discerning, nor favor to men of ability, for time and chance overtake them all. Moreover, man does not know his time. Like a fish caught in a treacherous net and birds trapped in a snare, so the sons of men are ensnared at an evil time when it suddenly falls upon them. Also, this I came to see as wisdom under the sun, and it impressed me. There was a small city with a few men in it, and a great king came to it, surrounded it, and constructed large siege works against it. But there was found in it a poor wise man, and he delivered the city by his wisdom, yet no one remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the wisdom of the poor man is despised, and his words are not heeded. The words of the wise, heard in quietness, are better than the shouting of a ruler among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Dead flies make a perfumer's oil stink, so a little foolishness is weightier than wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart directs him toward the right, but the foolish man's heart directs him toward the left. Even when the fool walks along the road, his sense is lacking, and he demonstrates to everyone that he is a fool. If the ruler's temper rises against you, do not abandon your position, because composure allays great offenses. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, like an error which goes forth from the ruler. Folly is set in many exalted places, while the rich men sit in humble places. I have seen slaves riding on horses and princes walking like slaves on the land. He who digs a pit may fall into it, and a serpent may bite him who breaks through a wall. He who quarries stones may be hurt by them, and he who splits logs may be endangered by them. If the axe is dull and he does not sharpen its edge, then he must exert more strength. Wisdom has the advantage of giving success. If the serpent bites before being charmed, there is no profit for the charmer. Words from the mouth of a wise man are gracious, while the lips of a fool consume him. The beginning of his talking is folly, and the end of it is wicked madness. Yet the fool multiplies words. No man knows what will happen, and who can tell him what will come after him? The toil of a fool so wearies him that he does not even know how to go to a city. Woe to you, O land, whose king is a lad, and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land, whose king is of nobility, and whose princes eat at the proper time for strength and not for drunkenness. Through indolence the rafters sag, and through slackness the house leaks. Men prepare a meal for enjoyment, and wine makes life merry, and money is the answer to everything. Furthermore, in your bedchamber do not curse a king, and in your sleeping rooms do not curse a rich man, for a bird of the heavens will carry the sound, and the winged creature will make the matter known. Cast your bread on the surface of waters, for you will find it after many days. Divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth. If the clouds are full, they pour out rain upon the earth. Whether a tree falls toward the south or toward the north, wherever the tree falls, there it lies. He who watches the wind will not sow, and he who looks at the clouds will not reap. Just as you do not know the path of the wind and how bones are formed in the womb of a pregnant woman, so you do not know the activity of God who makes all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and do not be idle in the evening, for you do not know whether morning or evening sowing will succeed, or whether both of them alike will be good. The light is pleasant and is good for the eyes to see the sun. Indeed, if a man should live many years, let him rejoice in them all. Let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. Everything that is to come will be futility. Rejoice, young man, during your childhood, and let your heart be pleasant during the days of your young manhood, and follow the impulses of your heart and the desires of your eyes. Yet know that God will bring you to judgment for all these things. So remove grief and anger from your heart, and put away pain from your body, because childhood and the prime of life are fleeting. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, because evil days come and the years draw near when one will say, I have no delight in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened, and clouds return after the rain. In the day in which the watchmen of the house tremble and mighty men stoop, the grinding stones stand still because they are few, and those who look through windows grow dim. And the doors in the street are shut as the sound of a grinding mill is low, and no one will arise at the sound of the bird, and all the daughters of song will sing softly. Furthermore, men are afraid of high place and of terrors on the road. The almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper drags himself along, and the caperberry is ineffective. For man goes to his eternal home, while mourners go about in the streets. Remember him before the silver cord is broken and the golden bowl is crushed. The pitcher by the well is shattered, and the wheel of the cistern is crushed. Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher, all is vanity. Okay, the last part is just a commentary that summarizes, apparently by someone other than the speaker at hand. So that's the whole of Ecclesiastes. So, impressions. What maybe stuck out at you? What did you notice?
It wasn't positive.
It what?
It wasn't positive.
Not all of it. Yeah, some of it was. But it's realistic. It's look, you don't know what's coming after you. You don't really even understand what's happened before you. If you're trying to plan everything based on what is going to come next, you don't know. Right? But what did you, go ahead, Bob.
Forget about the accolades of man and look toward those from God.
Yeah, there's a strong emphasis upon you got to do what you got to do, and you got to live life under these circumstances, but give more attention to God in all of this. I mean, that's coming through again and again, and the fickleness of human accolades, of accomplishments, because figuring it out. He says it's better to be wise than a fool, but being wise is no guarantee things are going to go well. Now, that's just honest truth. How many people have lived the delusion that, look, if I'm good, things are going to go good for me? He's honest. Look, maybe not. No guarantees here. But he's always recommending it's better to be wise. It's better to do what's good. All right? He's always recommending that. But never with the kind of silly notion that that's going to make sure that everything works out. You'll expect it to work out. No, you'll know, maybe not. Don't know what's going to happen.
That's kind of what we're told, though, or what I was told growing up. If you follow all the rules, you'll be good, or you're set, which is just not true.
Right. And that's what I love about him. He's being honest. He's not really being, negative. Unless we want to think that life is other than it is. Life is difficult. Life is not fair. Things are not just. Now, he encourages you as the reader to do justice, to do the righteous thing. But he's also saying, that doesn't mean it's going to work. It doesn't mean it's going to work out well. It doesn't mean anyone's going to listen to you, even if you're wise. Now, they may or they may not. So he sets the expectations, I think, very realistically. And he makes no false promises. Which, again, I heard some of the same things, like they were really false promises that if I did X, Y, and Z, that things would go well. That just wasn't true, right?
Do you think the prosperity gospel people just haven't read Ecclesiastes?
Yeah, you would think that would undermine any sort of kind of formulaic approach to this is the formula for success and happiness and good things in life. There isn't one, right? What were you going to say?
Well, I just think, it's advertising. To me, a lot of the churches just do advertising. Come to us and your life will be good. It's not scriptural. It's advertising.
Right. Yeah, it's selling a product and kind of a benefit, but it's not accurate as to the way things really go in life. Okay, what other things did you hear? Because we can go into them more. I just wanted to hear the whole thing, have us hear the whole book, and then whatever struck you. Yeah, Ron?
He claims to have been a king. Do we know which king he was, or was he really a king?
Well, it's written as if this is Solomon, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. But I don't know that it really was. I mean, it could be that he himself wrote this, or it could be that some wise person later is writing in the name of Solomon and using his life as kind of the metaphor for here's a guy who was, quote unquote, supposed to be the wisest, supposed to be the richest, that kind of thing. At least in Israel's terms, he was the epitome. So was it really him? Maybe. I can't. There's no way to know. Or is it someone using him as the kind of the example of, let's take the richest, wisest king of Israel and let's explore how that went for him.
Well, Proverbs is assumed to be by Solomon, right?
Well, some of them, not all the Proverbs. There's whole chapters that are attributed to other wise authors, but some of them, some of the Proverbs are taken as being from.
Another thing that struck me is that how many phrases that you just read pop up in funerals.
Yeah.
It's ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah.
And they may have to be in the Psalms and Proverbs too, but
Yeah.
that's really death oriented.
Yeah. Did you hear anything that sounded like Jesus?
Yeah.
What sounds like Jesus in here?
Live for today.
Do not worry.
Yeah, do not worry about tomorrow. It will take care of itself. The evil of each day is enough. That little statement by Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, it seems like that's encapsulating so much of what he's saying. Because what does he keep saying? Eat, drink, and be merry. Enjoy the wife of your youth. Enjoy your labor. What's he saying? Be grateful for what you do have. Don't spend your time worrying about what's going to come or what's gone in the past or how this is all going to work out. And don't work overly hard about a future that may not appear. All you got is the present. That's what he keeps saying. He says it about 5 or 6 times. He'll stop and say, what's the point? Eat, drink, and be merry. He's not saying be miserable, be sour, be unhappy. He's like, you got today, enjoy it. That's all you know you have. Jesus is saying the exact same thing to us. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Live in the present where you can experience God. So I hear that. Sounds very much like Jesus, right?
He almost always links it to labor. Every time he talks about a toil or like that, he seems, and that was one of the things that I think I missed, before you listed. I don't know if it's every time, but almost every time at least, he seems to be saying, I don't know, encouraging you to have gratitude for the task you have to do.
Yes. Whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. What do you have? Do that.
He's also telling you not to make that itself an end, which is another way to miss the point of it.
Yes, because he'll say, why do you work overly hard? So he's got something going on. He's saying, find pleasure and joy in your work, in your labor, but keep it in perspective. It's not going to solve everything. You can overdo it and then you're miserable, So, yeah, he's very much like your labor is a gift from God. He says that in one of the places. He says your labor is a gift from God. So you've been given something to do. Do it. Find pleasure in it, but also eat and drink. Don't work too hard. Yeah. So there's a kind of,
It's not working too hard, but also not deluding yourself that the end is going to somehow be different, or that it is the point.
right. Yeah.
Because you can't really predict the future, and that's true.
Yeah, you don't know how it's going to
Your
work out.
could end up backfiring on you, but if you enjoyed it on the way and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're always working towards a perceived end and goal that you're not in control of, just be aware, may or may not work out that way. But what is there the good that I can do right now? Is there life to be enjoyed right now, and even the good of what I do right now? And we'll see what happens. Right? Yeah.
It's much more consistent than it feels. As you read it, he contradicts himself every few stanzas, but it's really coherent.
Right.
In the end.
Yeah, I think if taken as a whole, yeah, you've got these kind of contrasting statements, but I think you're right. It comes together as a single coherent philosophy about living life in the moment. But he's balancing between, you could go down this far and that would be any good, and let me talk about its opposite. But there's that tension between the two, a paradox that he wants us to live in, right? I heard other things. To me, things like Jesus is his whole finding a priority in life. The way he's, like Jesus would say, seek first the kingdom of God and all these other things will be added unto you. He's saying something like that because he keeps saying to the young, he says, now's the time to fear God, when you're young. But he says to everyone, there's a respect and honor, making God significant, giving God significance in your life, he sees as important, which I would say is Jesus saying, okay, seek first the kingdom, the reign of God in all things, and everything else it'll be what it'll be. It'll all work out one way or another. And Jesus also is not promising us, right? Jesus says, if they hated me, they're going to hate you. They're going to hunt you down from city to city. They're going to kick you out of the synagogue. They're going to think by putting you to death, they're doing service to God. I mean, Jesus is also a realist about, hey, life is not going to be easy just because you follow me, right? Don't think I came to bring peace, but a sword. Father against son, and he lists those tensions within a household. So he's also, like the writer of Ecclesiastes, often telling the stark truth about life can be difficult. Not pretending like you're not going to have trouble. So I see a lot there that's similar. Yeah.
This was written a long time before the Gospels, correct?
Yep.
And so people didn't know about the Gospels when this was written and when people were thinking about it. And as we know, later on, Jesus alluded to, and it says in the New Testament how God is working towards the harmony, if you will, within the universe, and putting things right, and having there be justice, and this sense of having death destroyed and having evil destroyed. And these things, at least in those type of thoughts, were not clearly known back then. So I would just say that when we read this kind of text, it is absent and deficient within that. And, from my standpoint personally, I think that good, not what we understand in the scheme of things, but there is a personification of good. In other words, it has a means unto an end, and it takes on, I believe, much more clearly a life of its own, kind of like planting the seeds in deep ground. And I think that that's what grows, and that's what we strive for. And somehow, the greater portion of that is deficient in this because a lot of what we know more about the revelation of Jesus Christ was not known at that time.
Right. No, you're well said. Absolutely correct. It's not the full picture. And that's what we talked about last time. His constant use of the phrase "under the sun," he's limiting his perspective. Now, whether he also has thoughts about things not pertaining to just what occurs under the sun in this life, this mortal life between birth and death. Because what came before, we don't really know. What's coming after, we have no idea. I got this allotted fleeting time. What do I do with it? Now, whether he knows more that he would talk about on another occasion, we don't know. But you're exactly right. He's only talking about how do you live given the constrictions that are placed upon us and the nature of this world as it is. Now, we can read this in a way, we can also read this text and look for what might be taken as hints of the gospel message, which he wouldn't have had any idea of, right? And I think we could do that. But we would realize, at that point, we are, in retrospect, like Jesus said, the scriptures, they speak about me. Jesus himself said, you can read all these old texts and see me in them. Not in saying the authors of these statements had me in mind. He's saying, no, there is a kind of cohesive truth that even peeks through in these texts where people had no idea they were talking about me. Jesus says it's ultimately about me. So I think we can do that with this text. We can go and say, where are the real hints of gospel, hints of grace, hints of something moving beyond at a level we can't see? He makes those kinds of statements. He makes the statements, what God has done will stand. Well, what do we know about what God has done, right? So now we could pick up, like you're saying, Bob, we know what God has done as declared an end of goodness where he brings all things together in Christ. And so what this writer claims is, I have no idea what God has, if God has made it bent, who can straighten it? Like, whatever God's doing. All I can deal with is life as I experience it. But he has a confidence that something bigger is at work, which is why you ought to align yourself with God, because ultimately you can't do evil forever and it go unaccounted for, right? So he does hint at God is doing something beyond the level of what's under the sun and how we can perceive it. And so he does recommend in some ways having a faith in that, a trust in that. And that's why you do good, even if it's not immediately rewarded in this
Don't
life.
you think everybody has got to answer that question of why we're here?
Yeah.
And this is the great starting point.
Right.
Of God's at the center of that, and just hang on.
Yeah. Existential questions about life. Yeah.
I think the other thing that I hear in it is this, don't get too wrapped up in what people are doing. It's like,
Yeah.
it's the rain on the, don't go there. Deal with what you're doing.
Right. No, I think that's a good observation. Yeah. He does, because other people are going to do what they're going to do, but it's got to come down to you have to do what you're going to do. Yeah. Yeah. So to Jesus' statement, my Father sends the rain on the just and the unjust alike. You have to choose your own. How are you going to live? All right, so those are some things. What we'll want us to do is we're going to kind of focus on then some of these themes individually in some of the weeks to come and just see how we can unpack a little bit more of it. So thanks, and have a blessed week.